Hey gang, it's Chris Angel coming at you with another episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. That's right, marketing for who? For the rest of us. For those of us that don't want to chase algorithms and play the games of social media platforms, posting 5 to 7 times a day and being all SEO compliant and blah, blah, blah. Look, there is a way for us to play this game in marketing, right? There is a way for us to hang out with marketing that feels congruent and authentic to who we are without having to play the game. And today's episode, we are talking about, what are we talking about? Cause and effect. Cause and effect in marketing. I was having a conversation with somebody today who watched the first 5 episodes of this podcast, and they had said, listen, I'm really interested in what you're talking about. I'm interested in maybe hiring you, but I want to know if I invest this money, like what can I expect in a return? And I said, well, that's tough, right? Like, that's not really what this is. This is all about relationship, right? Relationship. Listen, how many of you, so much of my sphere of influence is in real estate. And one of the big things in real estate is handwritten notes. So it's like saying, like, listen, how many handwritten notes do I have to write before I get a listing, right? How many handwritten notes do I have to write before I get a piece of business? That's not how that works, right? Why? Because it's about relationship. It's about nurturing and investing in people. Well, listen, content marketing is the same thing. You're investing in your audience, and the content you do today may produce a lead 9 months from now. So for you to go into content marketing, podcasting, blog posts, Facebook Lives, and think like, okay, I'm going to do X amount of Facebook Lives until I get something, isn't the point. You're missing the point. Okay, that's the first thing I want to say. That's the backdrop of this conversation is content marketing is about relationship. It is not direct response marketing. Content marketing is not direct response marketing, right? Now, we all wish it was because direct response marketing is great. Awesome. Dan Kennedy, right? The father of direct response marketing. Perfect. Like send something out and get something in return. That's what we all want. That's what we're all hoping for. But for most of us, right, if this show is called Marketing for the Rest of Us, and we don't want to play the games of algorithms and SEO compliance and all the stuff that we need to do to play the game, then what we're left with is relationship. And relationship is not done in a, how many times do I have to take you to coffee before you give me a piece of business? That's not how relationships work. Now, the cool thing about content marketing is that you can create the content once and a lot of people can consume it. This is why I love podcasting, because you can have a weekly show and have a really wide reach, cast a really wide net, and you only had to do it one time, but you get a residual benefit of relationship with people, right? I covered that in my episode yesterday, right? The power of podcasting. But, okay, that being said, now let me talk about whether there is cause and effect. There can be a direct response effort or intention in content marketing or strategy in content marketing, but most of you aren't ready for it. You're not prepared. You're not set up for it. Okay, so let me break this down for you. In order for you to do direct response, there's a couple things that have to happen, right? One, you need to be clear about your message. And for most of you, you're not creating enough content to be clear about your message. Now, on top of that, I would say if you want to do direct response marketing in 2019, Facebook ads are a brilliant way to do that. And you need to do it with video. And most of you aren't doing enough video. So you don't have any video to use in your Facebook ads. So already you're not prepared for direct response marketing in 2019. Because for most of you, I would say you need video. Video is and most of you are, let's just say all of us want to spend as little as possible to get the biggest return, right? So in order to do that, video is very affordable on Facebook. Video is very affordable on Facebook. But most of you aren't creating video. So you're not prepared for what it is you want. You want to say, how much of this do I have to do before I get a result? And you're not doing video, so you're not prepared for what you need to do to have the answer to that question. You need to be doing more video. That's the answer. Listen, put in the comments, like, what is your obstacle to video? And I mean, listen, this is only for the brave and courageous, right? But like, I'm curious what your hurdle is to video, because you need to be doing more of it, like daily. I started this daily show 6 days ago. Now I already do a lot of video, but I'm doubling down on video. I'm going all in. We're doing a daily show. This show called Marketing for the Rest of Us. Why aren't you doing video? You need to be doing more video. While you think about that and put that in the comments, here is the next piece of this, okay? So, first of all, you need to have video, okay? You need to be developing your message. And the more video you do, the more you develop your message. And as you develop your message, your direct response, your cause and effect in marketing gets better. So like when you run a video from Facebook, right? When you run a video ad on Facebook, you get a better response. You build a bigger list. You build a better audience. But that only happens as you get better with your message. And the way you get better with your message is to iterate, do it over and over and over again. This is why you need to be doing more video. So the next piece of you being prepared for direct response, okay, to have cause and effect. I run an ad, I do a video, I get a lead, right? I do a video, I get a lead. Is you need to understand Facebook ads. So Facebook ads are not just about boosting posts, right? It's not about boosting posts. You need to understand, how do you build a custom audience on Facebook? How from that custom audience do you create a lookalike audience on Facebook? How do you build an audience off of video views? Like what percent of people, like you can build an audience off of people who have watched 50% of your video, 75% of your video, 90% of your video on Facebook. You need to know how to build that type of an audience or list on Facebook. If you want cause and effect, if in 2019, in this digital era where most people, before they ever hire you, are going to consume your content over and over and over again, you have to have content, first of all. And then second of all, you have to have it consistently going out so they have more and more to consume, because that is what our culture is now. Then you have to know how to run an ad to those people to pull them into a list, to create a list in order to invite them down the rabbit hole or down the funnel of relationship with you. So you don't, look, that is one way to do it, right? That is one way to do it. And if you have some type of expectation, like I'm going to invest X amount of dollars and I expect some type of return, great. In this video, I'm laying out for you what that requires. You need to be doing content all the time, and you need to understand your platforms in which you can get that message in front of people, specifically paid traffic. Organic traffic is not cause and effect. It's not like I post a video, I get a lead. That is not what organic content does. Organic content is about relationship over time. Paid traffic is about cause and effect. Paid traffic is direct response, right? I run an ad, I get a lead, I get a result. But you have to understand the components of that if you're going to ask that question, okay? So you get to choose. Here's the good news. You get to choose which path you take, right? You can take the path called I'm going to play to relationship, in which case you need to be posting content all the time anyway. And then you need to be networking that content with people. So don't just create the video. In fact, don't just create videos. I want you to create your content inside of shows. Create your content inside of shows. I turned this daily content into a show called Content Marketing for the Rest of Us. I have a weekly show called Important Work, where I interview influencers doing important things in the world. That's what that show is. But if you're going to do content, I want you to do it inside of a show. And if you're doing it organically because you don't want to spend money on ads or you don't want to learn the Facebook ads platform, okay, Great. Then what you need to do is network your content. So when you go to a networking meeting and people say, hey, what's new? What's going on? What's up with you? You're like, hey, I just created a show. They're like, wow, a show? What's it about? And now you have something to talk about, right? And it's not just that you have something to talk about, but people are curious about shows. And so I just did an episode on Facebook ads, or I just did an episode on whatever it is your show's about. They're like, wow, that's interesting. Great, I'll send you a link. Now you send them a link, they watch your show, and if it's good, if they like how you talk about it, if you're being authentic and real and transparent, which is the currency in the tribal economy, then they may come back for episode 2, episode 3, episode 4. And now they keep coming back, and you don't have to keep networking with them because they just like the show. That's the organic path. Then there's the cause and effect direct response path, right? Which is I created a show. I grabbed a clip, right? I grabbed a 60-second clip of my show. Listen, I don't know how long, does this tell me how long I've been going? It doesn't. I would guess I've been doing this now for 10 minutes, right? And inside this 10 minutes, I've had at least 2, maybe 3 or more 60-second sound bites of something that was pretty good about marketing, and I could grab that, edit it out, and go run it as a Facebook ad. Now I can run that as a Facebook ad and build an audience off of people who watched 50% of this video, the 60-second clip of this video. And from that audience, from that list, I could run a second ad. And from that ad, I could run a third ad. Do you see how what we're doing is we're taking a cold audience, building a warm audience, building a warmer audience, building a hot audience, and inviting that audience into the work we do. But there's a learning curve to that, right? And if you're not prepared to go down that learning curve, then now you have a choice to make, don't you? You're like, well, I don't want to learn all that. Great. Then guess what your choice is? Your choice is to go organic content consistently and then hustle and work that content with people. Either way, gang, you've got to have content. You don't have enough hours in the day to do coffee appointments and handwritten notes for the amount of people you need to be reaching to hit your goals. Most of you have really big goals and you don't have enough people to reach those goals. Content provides the wide net to cast in order to reach more people, but you aren't prepared for that because you're not doing enough content. Listen, I'm doing this with my tough love hat on, right? So with all the love of a coach, a business coach, right? And somebody who's just been in it long enough, I just know that most of you aren't creating enough content and you don't have a big enough list. And even with the list you do have, listen, if you did have content, you could at least be using that content to nurture your list. But most of you are creating content, the content you do create, you're not even sending it to your list. You're hoping people organically find it on the internet when you post it, but then you're not actively and intentionally sharing it with your people. Do you know? So a couple episodes ago, I talked about, or did I even talk about this? I have when you have a podcast in iTunes and Google Play and whatever, they ask for what's called album art or show art, right? If you were a musician, you'd have the CD cover, right? And you'd upload a digital version of that to iTunes. Well, inside of iTunes, they use the same platform, right? So it's music, and then they also have podcasts. Well, inside of their podcast directory where your show gets listed, in the listing, the artwork is a square artwork that shows your show's art, right? It's like the show. That's the show. Like a CD cover, only it's for your show, right? And so that's called album art or show art. And it's a square. So the other day I went and I created a business card, a square business card at moo.com, created a square business card. And on one side of the business card is my contact information and sort of my marketing agency stuff. And on the other side of my business card is the album art for my show called Important Work. So I'm about to head out at the time of this recording. I will be going a week and a day or so, a week and 2 days. I'll be headed to Dallas or to Plano, Texas for a national conference for Connect, for Master Networks, which is called Connect. Okay, Master Networks is a national networking organization. It's an incredible company. You should check it out. The CEO and founder of that company, Chaz Wilson, has started a show with us called Connect, Share, Prosper. And I'm going to that event. There'll be, I don't know how many, 400, 800 people there. And I had 400 cards printed for Connect, right? Hey, there's Chaz Wilson right there. I printed 400 of these business cards that are in a square. And on the back side of the card is my new podcast. Now, when I talk about organically networking your show, this is an example of that, right? I have a show, and what I could have done is just posted my show online to Facebook and to iTunes and whatever. But for those of you that aren't willing to play the Facebook ads game and you need to network your show organically, this is a way to do it. There will be 400 people there, and I will be passing out my card, and on the back of it, it says, check out our new show, and then it's got the album art right on it. So when they go to iTunes, they'll recognize it because it's the same thing that's on the back of my business card, right? You guys need to get really creative about how you're sharing your content. Some of you are just uploading it to Facebook and hoping people find you. But that's my point for this entire video, right? Which is you guys aren't you aren't prepared for how to get a cause and effect from the content you're creating. So as much as you want cause and effect, as much as you want to say like, hey, I posted 5 videos, when do I get a lead? You're just, that is a naive question. You're not deep enough into the game to understand the right questions to ask. So I'm giving you a lot of tough love right here, but I'm doing it for your benefit. I'm doing it because I need you to wake up to the game. We are no longer in the information age. We're in the tribal economy. And in the tribal economy, the rules have changed. You've got to play this game of marketing differently now. And if you want cause and effect, I get it. Who doesn't want to like do something and then get something intentionally, like measurably in return? I get it. But if that's the game you want to play, you got to press in. You've got to press into the rules of the game, and they've changed, right? So let's wrap up. There's a couple ways that a couple things that you can do from here, right? One, you could keep doing what you've been doing. I don't recommend that because no matter where you are on this scale of marketing, there's another level for you to climb to, right? But for most of you, because I just know this is how humanity works. In business, most of you just aren't prepared. So there's a couple ways you can get prepared, right? There's a lot of content to consume and a lot of I don't want to call them gurus. There's a lot of experts who have opinions about how to do this. Your first job is to find an expert that you resonate with. Because if you consume content from all the experts, you're going to get confused. I know, I've done this. Everybody has a different opinion about how to do it. Your goal is to find an expert who has an opinion that you resonate with, right? If you resonate, for example, with my conversation around the tribal economy, and the currency of the tribal economy is transparency, authenticity, vulnerability, right? If you resonate with that, and you get that relationship is the game we're playing in marketing. It's not about SEO. It's not about, right? SEO is a secondary conversation. It's not about algorithms. That's a secondary conversation to relationship. At the end of the day, we're humans. We're a human species that values tribes and connection. Okay, if you resonate with that, then you should be finding an expert who talks about that, right? Like me, for example. So that's your first step. You need to find somebody who speaks to marketing the way that resonates with you. From there, you need to start figuring out what are the options? What are the paths? There are multiple paths. I've given you 2 paths in this particular episode. There are multiple paths to where you want and need to go. And depending on your resources, right? Depending on the resources you have, and for a lot of you, that's going to dictate what you choose. Some of you aren't willing to put in the work to learn Facebook ads or have the budget for Facebook ads. Okay, I might argue with the budget on Facebook ads because they're super affordable, right? But however, hiring somebody to teach you that or hiring somebody to do that for you, maybe you don't have the budget for that, right? Either way, if you're not going to do it that way and you're going to do organic content, then your next step after finding someone who can point you in a direction is to start creating content. Like, I don't know any other way around that, gang. You've got to start to master your message. You need to get really comfortable talking about the things you do, and you need to put that out to the world. From there, once you have the content consistently being created, you now need to find a way to put that in front of more people. And if you're not going to spend money to do it through the form of ads, you've got to hustle and network your content. And I gave you an example in this episode of how I've done that. I just put it on a Square business card, and I'm now going to network my show that way. Those are 3 steps. Find a mentor, find a guide, find a coach who can guide you in this tribal economy. Step 2, start creating content all the time, consistently, persistently. And 3, start to hustle or work your content in front of more people, whether it's through paid traffic or through organic hustle, right? Networking your content, but you got to get in front of people. Okay? That's it, gang. That's it. So that's it. If you want cause and effect, then for the most part, cause and effect happens through paid traffic, but you could do cause and effect if you were going to hustle your content. And for now, that is the point of this show. Thanks for joining me on Marketing for the Rest of Us. That's what the show is called. It's called Marketing for the Rest of Us. If you'd like to learn more about what my marketing agency does, you can go to mygroundswell.com. I'm looking forward, Chaz, thank you. That's right. Chaz said most won't network their content because it takes work. It's true, man. It's true. Yeah, sorry, gang. Like, if you're in business for yourself, I have news for you. It takes work. Yeah, it takes work. And it takes work in the field of marketing, because it just does. Like, that's what's required. Now, there are some ways around that. Again, you can go to mygroundswell.com to see how we make that easier for you. But even then, it still takes work. So that's all for now, gang. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll catch you next time. Catch you tomorrow.